Hello. Hello, hello. This is so fun. Yay. Hi, guys. Welcome. How's everyone's Monday? I am just letting people in. But as people come in, and I do want to be respectful of time because I'm going to cover a lot and I really don't want to waste time. Um, but I want you to say hi in the chat. Say hello, say who you are. You can share your social media handle. You can say where you are, how you're feeling, but let's connect. I think by no means you have to have your video on for this. Some people may be in the bath. Some people may not have pants on. Some people may really want to share their video and like be in this space energetically together. So do what feels best for you, and only you know what that looks like. Okay, let's see. Hello, hi from Atlanta, yes, Canada, New York, people from all over. I love it. So I know some of you I don't know at all, which is so much fun. I'm so excited. I would love, like I said, I want to get started, but I would love for us all to take a collective breath together. It helps me ground myself before I like frantically am giving you all the information. But just take a sec with me and ground down wherever you are, whatever that means to you. You could be laying down at the beach. I don't know. That sounds amazing if you are. But let's just take a sec, close our eyes, inhale, and exhale. Okay. I'm going to close out of the chat because otherwise I'm going to be too distracted. But if you have anything super pressing, just unmute yourself and shout it out. But I will have time at the end for questions and Q&A and for us to chat. Okay, so you are here because you are ready to learn about building self-trust, and I cannot wait to tell you more. First of all, for those of you that don't know me, or those that do, here's a little bit more about me. I am Kelly Hogue. I am a Capricorn stellium, meaning that I have 4 planets in Capricorn. So I'm the most Capricorn ever, for better or for worse. I am a New Yorker living in LA. I've actually moved back and forth across the country twice. I grew up in an unconventional routine, meaning that my mom was an entrepreneur, my dad's an actor. They were just around and had really flexible schedules. So I was spoiled in that I could never really have a real job because I didn't grow up with that. I was like, vacation days? No thanks. So I was, had the entrepreneurial blood in my veins, and therefore became a behavioral health advisor and the founder of Root to Rise Health. So what we're going to cover today, general overview, is what the heck is behavioral health advising, first of all, and why that matters, how that pertains to you. My personal journey through this work, self-trust and self-love. Self-love as it pertains to self-trust, how the two go hand in hand but are also separate. Cognitive and behavioral reprogramming to strengthen this muscle, the self-trust muscle, and the steps to building inner trust and what's next. So what is behavioral health advising? If you have not heard it, that's because I made it up. It's essentially, I like to say, it's turning overwhelm into alignment. So it's both research-backed and intuition-led. I use applied behavior analysis, which is what my master's is in, and integrative health. I'm a certified integrative health coach to help you create holistic existence and sustained success. So this all sounds well and good, but what the heck am I saying, right? So applied behavior analysis, or ABA, if you have heard of ABA before, it's probably because you know someone who has autism or a developmental disability. That's where a lot of the jobs are, where the research is. It's essentially how behavior works, how our environment affects behavior, and how behaviors are learned. So you might have heard of Skinner, Pavlov. Skinner focuses on operant conditioning, meaning what happens after the behavior either makes it increase if it's reinforcing or decrease if it's punishing. And Pavlov focused on classic conditioning, which means stimulus response pairing, right? We think about that involuntary drool, Pavlov's dogs, when they hear the bell. So these things actually have a lot to do with habits and a lot to do with our own behaviors. So when I was in the field working with kids with autism, I realized, wait a second, I can apply this to my life, I can apply this to my peers' life. And I felt like it was the missing link in why habits don't stick, was because we don't have this information. But luckily I do, and I'm here to share with you. And then integrative health. So like I said, I'm a certified integrative health coach. And what that means, or at least how I like to think about it, is the state of well-being in mind, body, and spirit. And it encompasses all of these pieces of the health puzzle: your relationship, your career, food, mindfulness, movement, sleep. All of these things are woven together and make up your health. So I use ABA and integrative health to get to the root of behavior so that you are able to rise into alignment. And alignment, to me, I think about it as life happens. It's not about perfect balance. It's not about two sides of the scale being perfectly in balance all the time. Life is crazy. Pandemics happen, crazy things happen, and sometimes you're gonna get hit, but how fast do we rebound? How fast are we able to trust ourselves and the decisions that we make so that we are living in our truth and we're not thrown off course every time something happens? So I want to hear from you on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being not at all, 5 being yes, yes, yes. How strong do you feel your self-trust is right now? So drop it in the comment box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where are you at so I can get a gauge of the room? A lot of 3s, 4s, 3s. Okay, so in the middle. Makes sense, makes sense. Okay, so lots of 3s. So right down the middle. I love that. That means that you have somewhat of a foundation, but you're looking for a little bit more. Perfect. So my self-trust journey. I wish I had a glass of wine right now, but I'll just take a sip of my water. So it's been a journey. It's been a ride. I had a lot of struggles with this, as we do, with trusting myself. Did not trust myself, did not trust my gut, didn't even know what my intuition was, what that felt like. And it really was because I had severe anxiety. It was because I bounced from relationship to relationship almost all my life, never really was alone and single. I had really intense social anxiety, meaning I literally left college after 1 semester as a freshman because I was so petrified of like shining my light in the world and being myself. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to meet new people. I was so in my little bubble. And it's really interesting because I'm a pretty confident person, but I have this insane anxiety that's really debilitating. I was on Lexapro, I was on Xanax, I left college, went to community college, and then ultimately transferred to a college that was closer to home so I could commute because I was just not okay. Like I was not okay with being far away from my family, which was my rock. I was not okay with like being far from the friends that I felt comfortable with. I had all these defense mechanisms. So I would keep people at a distance because if you get too close, you might see what's under the surface. You might see the real me. You might see my flaws. Also, you might get to know me and then want to leave me. And that was really scary. I also had multiple eating disorders. I was going through my health coaching certification. I was orthorexic, meaning that I was obsessive and compulsive about clean eating. So I looked at every single ingredient of everything. I refused to eat anything unless it was basically like a plant. And I would also binge eat. So I would restrict, restrict, restrict. And then at night, like all hell broke loose and I would binge to the point of feeling physically sick. I didn't ever purge, although I tried and couldn't. So there was a lot happening. I didn't trust my body at all. Obviously, I didn't trust myself, who I was. And this like facade of confidence was actually just covering up all of this unalignment and all of this like shadowy stuff that was happening beneath the surface, and negative relationship with myself, with my body, just inner and outer mistrust. And it was debilitating. All of it was rooted in fear, and all of it was rooted in a lack of trusting myself. So I took that to unconditional self-love. Unconditional being the key here. I had it underlined, but I underlined it because I wanted it all to be cohesive. But unconditional self-love. I want to cry even thinking about this, but unconditional self-love, true forgiveness for myself and others. I'm going to talk more about this. Open vulnerability. I said how I was so afraid to shine my light and be my own self, and it was from a fear of being embarrassed and being vulnerable and like standing in my power. But I now am at the opposite end of that. Being okay with being vulnerable. Like that's what being a human is. That's what life is about. Like it's about being messy and being unapologetic and being yourself and not apologizing. And having a really strong intuition and knowing what that means and understanding it and acting on it. So not only hearing it, but acting on it. Having this inner compass that truly, truly guides me on my path of alignment. It's constantly course correcting. It's constantly being like, girl, girl, yes, which I'm so grateful for. And now all of this is rooted in love. No longer fear, control, anxiety, but love. So how, right? Give me like a thumbs up or a clap if you're like, yes, girl, I feel you. Are you guys with me? I can't hear you. I can't see you. So give me something to let me know you're with me. Okay, I see some of you. I appreciate that. So if you have a journal, if you have a notebook with you, a pen, if you have the notes app open on your phone, like that, now's the time to get all that going, because I'm about to drop nonstop truth bombs. So self-trust builds self-love. This is maybe debatable, and you might think like self-love comes from self-trust. No, self-trust builds self-love. You have to trust yourself to love yourself. You cannot love yourself without trusting yourself. You can't. Because love cannot exist alongside control. If you're trying to control yourself, it means that you don't trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, you can't love yourself. And if any of you are familiar with Untamed and Glennon Doyle's work, she talks about this too. And in reading her book, this really spoke to me because I thought about it. She's talking about it in terms of another person. And if you're trying to control someone in your life, then it means that you don't actually have true love for them. But what about yourself? When you lack self-trust, you lack self-love because you're constantly trying to control. You're not trusting what your inside is saying, and that's not an act of love. Additionally, self-care is not self-love. Self-care is a band-aid. So yes, there's a time and a place for self-love, or sorry, self-care. It's all well and good. I'm a big fan. I have no problem with this in the self-care realm. I will get, massages and do face masks all day long. But no matter how many face masks you put on, how many yoga classes you take, how many meditation apps you sign up for, it takes deeper work to foster unconditional love within yourself. So you can band-aid all day long. We as humans love a good band-aid. It's very easy. We don't have to deal with our shadowy bits. We don't have to deal with the truth. We don't have to deal with those conversations, the inner like sticky stuff. We just band-aid, just go, get a massage and be like, oh, I feel so refreshed. But how long does that last? like an hour. We need to do the deeper work. Point blank. But what is the deeper work, right? Are you guys ready? Step 1. This is about to be your roadmap to self-trust and self-love. So first piece, cognitive reprogramming and mindfulness. So this is a practice that you can start implementing today, tomorrow morning, right when you wake up. So how it works is in the morning, let's say, or at night in the evening, I want you to sit with yourself in stillness and take 10 breaths. On the inhale, I want you to say, I love you, in your head out loud. And on the exhale, thank you. Do that 10 times. Inhaling love and exhaling gratitude. And this concept came from a book by Kamal Ravikant, he has an amazing book all about self-love. And this was one of his first steps, and it really resonated with me, and then I built on it. But I have to give credit where it's due, and this came from him. So the importance here is that you are reprogramming the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you think about yourself, and also pairing it with stillness and mindfulness. So you're giving yourself 10 seconds in the morning to be with you, which so often we're going and we're going and we're going and we're going, and we're scared to be alone, and we are scared to not be productive. We don't even have the wherewithal to tap in and open that line of communication with our heart and our soul. So taking the time to take those 10 breaths alone is huge. And then adding this practice of love and gratitude adds an additional layer. If you tell yourself, if you inhale 10 times, inhale love and exhale gratitude 10 times a day for a week, you might just start to believe these things. You might just start to love yourself from saying it. You might just start to thank yourself. So this is step 1, and this is so accessible. I'm telling you, it could take like 12 total seconds to do this. And it's so nourishing, so nourishing. So step 1. Step 2, recognition and integration. So now we're taking it a step further and looking at ourselves, actually looking at ourselves physically, which can be weird and scary. Have you ever had too much to drink and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, whoa, hey girl. I want it to be like that, but just more empowering and with intentional love. So after you've done a few days of step 1, I want you to start to integrate step 2, where you're recognizing who you see in the mirror and you're looking yourself in the eye. You're not like, oh, great outfit, my hair looks fabulous today, love this new mascara I'm using, proud of my body, like amazing. But I want you to look yourself in the eye. Or actually, if you're looking yourself in the mirror and being like, ugh, or being like, oh, I should really put on like a better shirt, or I should need to get my hair cut. I don't want any of that. I want you to look yourself right in the eyes, because when do we ever do that? Look yourself in the eyes and practice that same exercise of I love you and thank you. So powerful. This is building the ability to recognize who you are, connecting with yourself in that way, with your soul, with your physical body together, and integrating step 1. Because before we're sitting there like, and I would recommend having your hands on your heart. I love you, thank you. And now we're opening our eyes. We're living awake. We're recognizing ourselves. We're looking ourselves right in the eye and saying these words, and say it out loud. It's powerful. Step 3, forgive and let it flow. So maybe you've done a week of step 1, a week of step 2, 3 days of step 1, a few days of step 2. You will know when to get to step 3. You'll know. Trust me, trust you, you'll know. I want you to write down, this is scary one, but I want you to write down, I forgive myself for, and fill it out. And for everything you have to forgive yourself for, you write it out. I forgive myself for this. I forgive myself for this. I forgive myself for that. You can only take this self-trust and self-love journey so far until you hit the ceiling of not being able to forgive yourself. This is when the ceiling comes up and you can really blossom, when you forgive yourself. And as I'm saying this, there's probably something that's coming up for you and you're like, oh, fuck, like, I don't want to write that down. Or you're like, I don't know if I can forgive myself for that. And then thinking about this thing, whatever it is for you, imagine how liberating it's going to be when you write this down and then you burn it. Literally set it on fire. Let it flow. Let it come out of you. Whatever you're holding on to, whatever you're not forgiving yourself for, let it out. I give you full permission. Let this out. Write it down. Put it pen to paper, no matter how scary. No matter how many years it's been. It's probably could be a little bit calloused over. It's okay. Let it out. And literally let it burn. Set it on fire. Let it go. If you want to rip it up into a tiny million bajillion pieces, throw it in the garbage. If you want to throw it in a body of water, I mean, I wouldn't recommend. It's not the nicest to the planet, but just let it burn. You could even have some kind of ceremony around it if you wanted to. But truly, it's just letting this piece go. When you come from a place of forgiveness to yourself, it becomes a lot easier to forgive others. Because when you think about the things that you're not forgiving others for, it's because it's presented something within you that you are not forgiving either. If you're mad at someone for something, whether it be, you know, in a romantic relationship, someone did you dirty, or a financial partnership of some sort, a friendship where there was bridges burned and you can't forgive this person, ask yourself, what's going on within me that's not allowing me to move forward from this? Think of all the energy that's being leaked from you holding on to this. And know that you don't deserve that. You deserve to let go of that, live in alignment, and be set free. So to forgive them, you have to forgive yourself. So I want you to write this down and let it burn. Yeah? Okay. Step 4. This one comes down the line. It's step 4 at the end for a reason. Commit and change your behavior. Seems like a big one, right? But we're going to start really small. Once you've done step 1, 2, and 3, you're doing this inner work. When we talk about shadow work and things like that, this is it. You're here. You've built the foundation. You're building the foundation. I want you to commit and change your behavior. I want you to make a promise to yourself and keep it. And I want you to start out really, really, really small. It could be, I'm committing to not opening my phone first thing in the morning tomorrow. I'm committing to drinking a glass of water before I eat lunch. I'm committing to doing this breath, love, and gratitude practice tomorrow. I'm committing to beginning the journaling practice that I've been really wanting to do. I'm committing to myself, and I am making a sacred promise to me. Because the way to build self-trust is to keep the promises that we make to ourselves. Because when we don't, when we break those promises, when we go against our intuition, when we act from our logical mind and we act out of habit and say, forget it, doesn't matter, it's fine, we are abandoning ourselves. We're making our intuition weak. We're weakening that muscle. We're weakening the line of communication that we've started to open through these steps with our soul. So now the line of communication, when we get to step 4, right? We're here, we're at the door of step 4, and our heart is like this, ready for love, ready for trust. And then we make a promise and we don't keep it. It's like, oh, never mind, right? I mean, think about in your life when someone breaks a promise to you. Oh, devastating, disappointing, hurtful. And yet we are constantly breaking promises to ourselves, big and small. We're not acting on our gut, and we're quieting our intuitive pulls, and we're breaking promises. So I want you to commit, and I want you to start small, and I want you to change these behaviors, acting from a place of self-trust and inner knowing. Are you down? There's more to come, but I want to hear if you're down for this. Give me like a shout out in the chat or a clap or a thumbs up if this is resonating with you. Cool. Okay. Great. So your mind, your body, your soul, it's your home. Welcome. You are here. Welcome home. Once you've done these 4 steps and they're integrated into your life, you're going to have built such a solid, amazing, nourishing foundation to your home. Nobody else is going to build that foundation for you. You know, you can't make someone change, right? No one's going to change for you. You have to do it. You have to start, meet yourself where you're at, start small. That's why these 4 steps are incremental. It's the behavioral analyst in me. Because no one's going to do this work for you. No one can do this work for you. This is about you. It's about self-trust, self-love. You have to build a foundation to your home. It is your home and only your home, nobody else. And this, building the foundation, is how anxiety fades, how our intuitive muscle strengthens, how solitude becomes healing and not something we're scared of, right? And it's interesting because right now we're all in this place of extreme solitude, it seems, right? We are more alone than ever, yet somehow extremely connected through the internet. We feel alone. So then let me know if this resonates with you. We feel so alone right now that being actually alone is more terrifying than ever. Does that sound familiar? Like we spend all day alone, but we're also like tapped into our computers, right? Or we live with someone, or we're back at our family's house. But then we're actually forced to just be with ourselves. It's like, whoa, no thanks. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. But if it's that hard, which it was for me, it's probably coming from a place of lack of these tools, lack of self-love, lack of trust in yourself, lack of knowing that when you are alone, you're going to make a decision that feels aligned to you. Or when you are alone, you're going to come from a place of loving communication and not putting yourself down, or not something coming up that you don't want to deal with. Through this process, we're dealing with it. But we're dealing with it with love, with unconditional love. When you are by yourself and you love yourself unconditionally, it feels good. Like you're your own best friend. You have a good time. But when you're by yourself and you hate yourself and you see your body as an enemy and you're not in touch with your intuition, that's a scary place to be. Who wants to be with someone who talks negatively about them? You don't want to hang out with someone who's constantly putting you down, especially one-on-one. someone who is speaking negatively about your body, someone who you don't trust, you're not going to want to be alone with that person. So being by yourself becomes a lot less scary when you're talking to yourself, when you're coming to yourself from love and from trust, right? So there's a part 2 to all of this. And part 2 comes when we built this, we've opened the line of communication. We've done steps 1 through 4. We're hearing what's coming up, we're acknowledging it, and we're coming to ourselves, opening the communication from a place of love, and we're building the trust. We're making commitments to ourselves, and we are acting, following through, and recognizing how that feels. We're building this muscle. So part 2 then is really integrating this into our lives with ease. It's hearing your pings, your intuitive pulls, your gut instinct, however you want to call it. I like to say ping, I think it's cute. You're hearing your pings and you're acting on your intuition. And that's keeping you in alignment with your life and ultimately your soul's purpose. Hello. So let me explain. When you hear your pings, when your body is telling you to do something, to not do something, from a place of knowing, like inner knowing, and you act on it or don't act on it, and you do the thing that is aligned with your gut and your intuition, that is when you're living in alignment. That is when you're living in alignment with your soul's purpose. That is when you're making decisions from a place of self-trust, self-love, and that's when your life begins to expand and possibilities open up. You are magnetic because you are living in alignment. You are one. Your mind, your body, your soul are all harmonious. So we're doing the foundational work to build this muscle, right? To build the muscle of self-love. And now we're taking it into our real life, part 2. In business decisions, hearing a gut feeling and acting on it. In our relationships, hearing our gut feeling and acting on it, even if it's the hardest thing ever in the whole world. Even if it's really scary. As moms, hearing our intuition, acting on it. As entrepreneurs, like hearing the ping and acting on it is when the true magic happens. Like we plant the seeds for the foundation, and then this is how we grow. And when we do this, indecision leads to confidence. Procrastination leads to action. Have you ever gone back and forth with yourself and back and forth, like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? But there's pros and the cons list. And it's like, no, that is self-abandonment. When you procrastinate, when you go back and forth about, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? That's self-abandonment. You're not following your gut instinct because your gut tells you right away. It hits you with the ping and it's like, yeah, do it. Or no, you don't want to do that. And then you act. So when you come from this place, when you do part 1 and part 2, doubt, procrastination, indecision turns to trust, confidence, action. And any fear of change turns into trusting of the process because you know you're on the path to in alignment. So remember I said how like we get hit, but we're able to roll the punches? It comes from a place of trust. Our anxiety turns into a sense of calm, and conflict, both internally and externally, leads to communication. When we love ourselves, when we are in love with ourselves, confidence, action, self-trust, trusting the process, feeling calm, at ease, empowered, communicative, rather than indecision, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, anxiety, conflict, overwhelm. So this also manifests in the way that we talk to ourselves. So when we come from a lack of self-trust, a lack of self-love, we are telling ourselves, I'm not enough. On the flip side, when we practice these pieces, these steps, we know that we're enough. We know that we're whole. We know that we are in love. And I say in love, meaning you could be in love with another person, right? But that's not emptying your container of love that you have within yourself. So when that person leaves, you're not any less love. You are the same amount of love. You are filled to the brim with love because you are in love with yourself. You are literally in it. Does that make sense? So instead of feeling like I'm not enough or this person left and now I'm less, knowing that you are whole, you are love. You are enough. Or when you're like, the universe is against me, I haven't gotten my freaking unemployment check, like I lost my job, I had to do this and that and yada, yada, yada. Instead, you have trust that you're on the right path. You're making decisions from this place. You trust the journey, you trust the path that you're on. You know the universe is working with you, not against you. Or if you're like, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve this amazing thing that's happening to me. The flip side of that is knowing that I'm so freaking worthy. I am magnetic. I deserve everything amazing that's meant for me. Or feeling afraid, afraid of loss, of change. When you feel so empowered and so in love, there will still be fear, but you'll know where it's coming from. And then you'll be able to work on yourself from that place instead of a band-aid. Instead of just being like, I'm super scared of all these changing things in the world right now. I'm scared of losing my job. I'm scared of this. I'm scared of that. I'm scared of being alone. Instead, I'm empowered. I'm whole. I'm in love. I trust the journey. I'm worthy. I'm magnetic. I am abundant. I am empowered. How about my anxiety runs my life? That was me, like I said. So anxious all the time. But instead, my knowing is my guide. Anxiety comes from self-abandonment, comes from going back and forth and not trusting, not loving. So knowing, your inner knowing, as your inner compass and your guide, the anxiety dissipates. It falls away. It doesn't have a place. It doesn't have a home because you built your foundation and there's no room for that. And then the last one that sometimes comes up, I'm not present. I'm not mindful, right? A lot of clients come to me and they're like, I don't feel present in my life, in my job, in my relationship. I'm not mindful. I've tried. It doesn't happen. When we build our intuition, when we build our self-love, and therefore we've built our self-trust, we're connected, we're tuned in, right? What was the first step of all of this? Was tuning in and being still with yourself and incorporating mindfulness to become connected to who we are, to feel grounded, to feel nourished, and to feel in tune with ourselves, in tune with being in love, in tune with the decisions that we're making, in tune with our intuition. So like I said, we're able to hear what's coming up. We're able to hear those things and then act on them, because so often we're not even able to hear them. Like our gut is screaming to course correct us. And so often we're like, what was that? I can't hear you. But when we're present and when we're mindful, we're connected. We're in tune with our bodies, with our minds, with our soul. So your turn. On a scale from 1 to 5, same thing. 1's not at all, 5 is hell yeah. How excited do you feel about making this change in your life right now? About beginning to implement these steps? Let me know in the chat. How are you feeling? 5, yes, Sarah, yes, yes, yes. Oh my God, everyone's a 5. Yes. Oh my God, it makes me so happy. If you're not a 5, it's okay. You can write in the chat. If you're like a little scared, it's okay. You could be like, I'm a 3, I don't know. But I do like the hell yeses. Okay, cool. This like, it gives me butterflies reading all your 5s. Ah, yes, Felicia, yes. Oh my God, okay. Okay, so to make this change, we have to do a few things, right? We have to do steps 1 through 4. Then we have to act. We have to do, the second process. So essentially you have 2 options here. I'm gonna present you with 2 options to continue to ride this wave. Option 1, you take these 4 steps that I've outlined in this. Whether you've written them down, you're gonna get the replay in an email, so you'll have them, and you run with them, and you do it, and you do the steps. And these steps don't happen overnight, right? They take some time. We need to be able to integrate. We need to make incremental changes to build up to make it sustainable. So to do all 4 steps, it could take like a month and a half. And there's step process 2, right? Part 2. So that's option 1. You have this workshop, this webinar forever in your email and you run with it. Option 2, you take these 4 steps. You learn part 2 of the process and what it means for you so that you can make this change, this self-love, this self-trust sustainable. You gain one-on-one personalized support through this, and you get additional resources, additional mindfulness activities, additional journal prompts, podcast episodes, meditation specifically for you and what you're dealing with. So if you're like, the anxiety one really, really spoke to me, that's my biggest struggle. Or like, I don't feel worthy, that's my hardest thing right now, that's what I'm working on. Or like the indecision. You're gonna get the tools and the resources that are just for you. I'll tell you how. So option 2, if you're like, yeah, I am so ready for this. I want more, I wanna do this. I'm ready to integrate and implement and live my life in alignment with this inner knowing and self-trust and self-love that's going to expand to all aspects of that health circle, relationships, my career, mindfulness, the way that I eat, the way that I am a partner in work and life. Then option 2 is for you. And that's a 90-minute one-on-one alignment mapping call, which includes strategy, going through all of this, but for you. Support, meaning that we're gonna talk it out for 90 minutes. I don't ever offer a 90-minute call, ever. So you're getting an added additional 30 minutes than anyone else of support. You're getting an action plan. So you're getting these 4 steps that we talked about, really specific to you. You're getting part 2. And you're getting all of it with your life in mind, your schedule, your career, your likes, your dislikes. That's how it becomes sustainable, is when it's flexible and it's in alignment with who you are, not any outside noise or shoulds. And like I said, you're getting additional resources. So you're getting additional specific journal prompts, meditations, podcasts, books, people I think you should know, introductions, based on you and your needs. So the value of this is $375. Your price is $275 for this 90-minute call. But if you use the code webinar for being at this webinar live and also for watching it on the replay later, because I know that we have lives, you're getting this 90-minute call taken from $375 to $175. So I want you to ask yourself, if I loved myself, what decision would I make? Would I do the 4 steps? Would I actually do them? Like, am I actually gonna do this? Is that what I need? Do I just need to do this on my own right now? Or do I sign up for this opportunity, 90-minute call, and invest in my future and in my self-love? So I want you to ask yourself that. I'm gonna reconnect with you here. Stop sharing my screen so that you can ask me any questions that you may have. Feel free to write it in the chat. Feel free to unmute yourself, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And I'm going to put in the chat that exact link. That code webinar for the 90-minute session is only going to be available for the next 24 hours. That's it, because it's for the webinar only. So that's for you. If you have any questions at all about any of this, about any of the steps, about what the 90-minute session looks like, about just self-love in general, about my journey, about something with your journey that you want to open up, feel free. I'll give you a minute. And also, if you're like, I don't really want to voice this in the chat right now, you could totally email me and we can chat it out there. But thank you. I'm glad. Amazing. I'm so proud of you for showing up for yourself in this way, taking the time of your day out of your day to invest in yourself, energetically be here right now and learn this information. So valuable. And I'm so proud of you. And I want to acknowledge you for doing that, because there are almost 100 people that signed up for this, and you showed up and you held that space and that container for yourself. And that's worth acknowledging. So if there's no questions, then I hope to see you guys on that call if it's feeling really aligned for you. Like I said, if you have any questions about it at all, email me. But this was my absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm so proud of you. And yeah, I'm going to share this whole presentation with you over email. Bye, guys. Have a good night. You're so welcome. Thank you. Bye.